Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay, but as entrepreneurs all know, there's always problems to solve, right? So welcome to the second in our series of 4 entrepreneur event summit. This is a time we've changed the format a little bit. We have entrepreneurs for you guys to interact with and to ask questions to. But before we do that, we have one of the most infamous entrepreneurs in this area here to speak to you guys. So I would really like for you to give a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Paul Courtney.
Well, that was a great introduction there, Professor. I appreciate that. I'm going to speak today about life, liberty, and the pursuit, which directly connects to change and then some. It's always interesting when you speak before family, or you're at home, or you're in familiar places. You tend to be a little more nervous, like in my case. However, I'm gonna navigate through this by an open reading here. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. You should all receive a handout that says, "Discover the entrepreneur in you." Who will receive one of those? Okay. Well, I'm going to go through and I'm going to recite it. An entrepreneur is not a person, but a personality. The personality lives inside each and every one of us. The personality who dreams and believes in then some. The entrepreneur inside of you, as well as me, your friends, or a family of every shape, size, and dimension, no matter what they do for a living, no matter how bold or how shy, no matter where they live or what education they have or they don't have. The entrepreneur is a dreamer who sees life as it could be, not as it is. It's a dreamer who sees mountains where only flat land exists, who sees great buildings, cities and communities arising from enormous people power and energy. Where there are no cities and buildings or communities as they exist as of today, they see that. They see the incredible light of hope and opportunity around every corner and every nook, cranny, and person, and every square or rounded inch of possibility. To the entrepreneur personality living in each and every one of us, there is life larger than life, a beauty larger than beauty, a promise larger than any promise you could ever hope for. The entrepreneur in you and I is the inventor, the creator, the hope builder, a lunatic of the most profound dimensions, the inconsolable pursuer of the impossible, who can see visions of opportunity where others only see challenges. I call that the and then some. So thank you for allowing me to stumble through that. A little bit about myself. I'm a Barstow native, born and raised right here in 92311. Went to Barstow Preschool, the Montero Elementary, Barstow Middle School, Barstow High School, the time here at Barstow Community College, moved down to Huntington Beach, lived there for 22 years, where I received an AA in Administration of Justice, my bachelor's in developmental psychology, my master's in business management, and then this past August, I completed my doctorate in business administration and entrepreneurship. So I call that the then some. Here locally, I own 7 different enterprises. The one that I like to acknowledge right now, which really pushing, is ecbarstow.com. But we have history with Pay Services, Barstow Tutoring Service, goes on and on. Out front, I have a table with a couple of my aides there that's really going to answer any questions that you may have. I'm often asked about what makes you tick. It's an interesting question, but I take it as a challenge to really try to explain the possibilities of making yourself the best that you can be, which I call the and then some. Each and every one of you receives some change, right? Okay, change, okay? Some people call it pennies, but I simply call it change. Oftentimes we believe to make a difference, we need to change a whole lot of things about ourselves. Not true, my opinion, of course. We generally have to change maybe 1 or maybe 2 things. And we know what they are, and they're personalized and individualized. So there's no unique or universal answer for anyone, because we all live our truth. We all live our truth. So whatever that is that you feel that you may have to change to make your life be the best and then some, I always encourage each and every one of us to do that. Another question I'm asked is, I'm just tired of working for somebody. I want to be a business for myself. What do I have to do? I always say, and it's the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God if you do believe, each and every one of us, we're already in business for ourselves. Your business is you. Yeah, your business is you. So you ask yourself, how's your business? And oftentimes we have to tell the truth. Lots of times our business is not going great, or even good, or fair. However, at the same breath you say, oh, I'm just tired of working for somebody. As well, how can you be tired of working for yourself? Because you're empowered to live your best life now, each and every day. So, yeah, it's great being in business for yourself. However, you're never in business by yourself. Never by yourself, because you have customers, the consumer, you have people you have to lead, keep encouraged, keep the morale up, pay them well enough to keep them motivated and engaged. If not, you end up broke. Yeah, broke. Trying to rediscover why. Why do you want to be in business? Why do they want to be in business with you? And if you could actually be an employer. Because many people are in business, but they're all by themselves because they're not an employer. Because going through that journey of being in business for yourself and mastering your ability to live life, living the pursuit of yourself, you must be able to discover your why. And actually why you're doing what you're doing. And that is derived from passion. And often many think passion is old-fashioned. It's really not. It's not. Passion, being committed to be your best and live your best life now. Not based on your yesterday, based on today. Because being in the world of being successful, making change, you can be a hero on Monday and a zero on Tuesday. And if you cheated yourself to the hero and you end up being a zero, guess what? You're confused. You have no idea what's happening. See, failure itself actually is a great thing if you can make a difference. It's a great thing because if you're growing, it's showing, and you're gonna fall. Happens all the time. What makes it a bad thing is if you don't get back up. So if you fail and you fail to get back up, it's an awful thing that will affect you today, tomorrow, and then some. However, if you fail, you get back up, it makes you stronger, wiser, and you don't repeat the same mistake. So I say it all the time. Why do you want to be in business? And once I go through the descriptors, I then often hear, I really didn't think about all that. Then I'll say, why? And I say, I don't know. I simply don't know. The entrepreneur in you that exists in each and every one of us must have the courage to answer the question. Getting past I call them the emotionals and hopefuls, and getting into the actuals and factuals. The actuals and factuals is true as your next breath of air. Now, if we just happen to just blow in the back of our head, we can feel it, but we can't see it. But it's real. And I say, until you want to be successful, as much as that next breath of air is not going to show up. I mean, it's just not going to show up. That's why many talk about it. However, many just talk about it, and very few ever get to connect that specific connection. And this is something I lead into. I didn't say, isn't it nice that you're not in charge of that next breath of air? Because if you were, you would have died last night. Yeah, really. Yeah. You would have died last night if you were in charge. However, we're in charge of a lot of things. I encourage individuals to take charge of what you can be in charge of and leave the rest to whoever's in charge of that. I call that divine intervention. Now I'm going to localize it. I'm going to bring it here to BCC, Barstow Community College. Like, go Vikings. Okay, majority of you, I believe, know that I'm part of the staff here. I came on board in 2014. And absolutely a life-changing experience for me. Keep it in mind, I'm from Barstow, got out of high school. I was typical kind of Barstow even today. I had never been to the beach. I'd seen it on TV, I had never actually went to the beach. So I remember college wasn't an option in our family. It was like, okay, this is where you're going to go. You got at least get 2 years of education. Okay, no problem. So I had made the commitment to stay here local, but for some reason I was convinced not to, which reality is I wished I would have changed it. But the fact of the matter is I'm back here. And I love being back here. Being part of a very unique experience for everyone here in our community, but more importantly for myself. I just got an indicator that my 10 minutes is about up. And I already knew I had 10 minutes to speak and then some. So once I get to the 10 minutes, I'll probably get into the then some. And then I'll conclude. So I want to acknowledge it up front. So, the entrepreneur in you, it exists, it really does. And I encourage you to take the risk that you believe is necessary for you to be able to pursue that life, liberty, and the pursuit. I refer back to the Emancipation Proclamation, okay? And this is a history class, but history must not be a mystery. When that executive order was written back in the day, it was all about eliminating slavery. Whether you were red, white, blue, black, white, green, or purple, it was about slavery. No man or woman should be beholden to another man or woman against their will. Well, in 2019, guess what? Many of us still live in slavery. And we live enslaved to ourselves. Our inability to make a decision to move our life forward. Move our life forward. So I would encourage each and every one of you really reach inside and discover that entrepreneur that exists within you. That's that risk taker, that dream maker, the individual that doesn't give up on humanity and people as we understand it. As we understand it. If you do that, you won't give it for yourself. So yes, the entrepreneur exists in every one of us, every one of you. Because that's that risk taker, that's the dreamer, the person that wants to be in business for themselves, but not by themselves. That's the future employer, that's the investor, that's the creator, that's the professor, and that's the next world leader and the world changer. I think I have about a minute and a half left in my speech, and I probably got a couple of minutes in the end, then some. So that equates to about 4 minutes. So I'm going to ask a question from the floor right now. Questions? Any questions from the floor? Yes.
You said that every good business most likely is failed. How do you or is it just gonna happen?
Okay, let me clarify that. Okay, failure is not meaning that you're going to go broke in the process. Failure actually speaks about maybe one of your great ideas won't work, so you recreate that good idea. Because when you build your marketing plan, you've done your due diligence and you've covered all the bases. The biggest mistakes people make is they don't create a business plan, so they don't follow their plan. It's kind of like the ed plans we get at school here. If you guys follow your business plan at school, which we call the ed plan, you follow it, you're going to graduate on time and do your best. So you all have a business plan right now. It's your ed plan. So be honest with yourself. Ask yourself how your business plan is going. So if you're doing good right now on your ed plan, you're already being a great entrepreneur. If you're struggling and having trials and tribulations, that's normal and it's natural. Reach out for your resources to get help. Get help. And the same applicable for when you're in business. Another question? Yes.
Can you give us a few tips on how to?
A few tips on how to be a successful entrepreneur. Yeah, I can give you about 100, but I'll give you a couple. First of all, you must believe in yourself and the abilities that exist within yourself. You must be smart in the journey. Be very specific on what you want to do. Look at the measures, and it's important. Okay? Make sure it's attainable and it's real, but more importantly, tie it to a timeline. You tie it to a timeline, you work hard that goal, it's going to show up in a really will. Great question. Next question. Yes, John.
Did failure ever break your spirit?
No, failure has never broke my spirit. It's just kind of bruised me a few times. I think the closest I probably got to my spirit kind of being broken was finishing my doctorate program. I started the program in early 2013 with 32 people in my class. When I graduated in August of last year, only 2 people graduated. It was myself and John Shear. Through the last year of that journey, I almost gave up too. Because I knew I was right, at least I thought I was right. But I discovered something I didn't know that I didn't know. It was a very humbling experience. And I didn't realize the value of that educational journey until I actually walked across the stage. And I was so thankful that I didn't give up like the other 29 people. Yes. And I thought to myself, dang, I'm so proud of myself that I did not give up. I acknowledged that I didn't know what I didn't know. So I would hope that you would all take that same mindset. There's a lot of things you just don't know. And when you humble yourself to get there, your whole life really opens up. And I'm living a life that I never, ever imagined. Never imagined. And if I wouldn't have went through that journey, I wouldn't be able to stand before you today. And I wouldn't be at Varsity Community College because I would be unqualified. You see, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I thank everything for sticking to it and being able to be here today and to speak before each and every one of you. I'll take one last question and I'll conclude. Nothing else. Okay. Well, I'm going to be on the panel. I'm not sure how that's going to work today, but I really, really appreciate you all coming out today and being at home here at Varsity Community College and being part of all of your purpose-driven lives. Not one day do I take for granted. Not one day do I take for granted for all that I have and all I can give gifts. I hope that you all make that same commitment to yourself. And I'll conclude. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks again for Dr. Paul Courtney. I'd also like to give a round of applause to Denise Pasley for signing this event off. And I'm one of the Special Program Services counselors here at Varsity Community College. I've been asked to moderate this event. I can introduce some local entrepreneurs from the area. We have Latrella Ramos from Unique Landscaping. Harry and Vanessa Pack from By Right Directory. We have one of our local history instructors here and accounting, Ramon Vasconcelos. And Frank Alameda from Boldface Global. So I'll open up the panel, and so just to start off, does anybody have any questions for the panel?
It's not more of a question, it's just if you have a question for the panel, just raise your hands, let me come to you with this mic, so everybody can hear your questions.
So I'll go ahead and start. I just want to ask the panel maybe to introduce themselves and tell us about their businesses.
Hi, my name is Latrell Ramos, and I'm with Unique Landscaping. I've been with them for 9 years, but prior to that, I was a graduate from Barstow College in the nursing department. I did retire from nursing, and I joined this group, and I love it. And always remember, the thing is, it's most important, nothing is forever, okay?
Yes.
You have to listen to your customers. You have to listen to yourself. If it becomes too rough, always step back and then look again. Okay? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Pack, and I was also a student at Barstow Community College.
Wow.
My husband and I started By Right Directory to help small businesses all over the world. We have 48,000 businesses all over the world right now that we're helping, and we do that for free at this moment.
Hi, my name is Perry, and I would like to say that By Right Directory is there for you and with you through any of your struggles as far as your entrepreneur situation, your small business situation. And that's why we started By Right Directory for the small business, and even getting you to grow into whatever size business that you would like. And I appreciate everyone here on the panel, and I appreciate the wonderful words from Dr. Paul Anthony Courtney, as I know you guys do too, and I appreciate you guys being here.
The businesses that I currently operate, the Atlanta Grand Prix, which is out in Atlanta, my brother and I, Daryl Courtney, we own that particular venue. We had over 30,000 supporters this past January. If you guys are one of them, thank you very much for supporting that on Grand Prix. It will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I also have Barstow Touring Service. This is here in Barstow. I have Pace Janitorial Services, Pace Investment Services. We buy property. Let's see what else do we have. We also support Smart Tech. You guys get your phones built. Then we have the Entrepreneur Center. The Entrepreneur Center, we're a small business administration outreach center. We can help connect you to capital from all over the world. Also help you developing your business plans and really connecting to your entrepreneur spirit and then some. And it's just great to be here and then some.
Hi, my name is Frank Almeida. I'm co-founder of a company called Boldface Global, where we manufacture products in China and we import them and sell them on the Amazon platform, both here in the US and over in the European Union. We're in about 6 countries, I think, right now, total. So I also teach over at Riverside City College, and I also, too, came from a community college background as well. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Ramon Vasconcelos, and I know many of you one of your teachers. But in addition to teaching, I have a small insurance planning and investment planning company that I run on the side, and I've been doing it now for about 5 to 6 years. entrepreneurialism is kind of like something that was in my family. When I was in college, I had a car detailing business. I sold loans later on. I sold stocks. And then I was always teaching on the side as well. So just happy to be here and answer any of your questions. Thanks so much.
So again, I'm opening up to the floor. We're gonna have about 10 minutes for questions across the panel, and then we're gonna have a networking luncheon afterwards. So we're gonna go ahead and start with one of the questions.
I wanted to ask Dr. Parker, what is the first key, or what is your advice on the first aspect that we want to do in building our business plan?
You have to do due diligence. You must do your homework. Because like I said, you don't know. Due diligence. You must do your homework. There's simply no shortcut. There's simply no shortcut. It's the same discipline you have in your classroom to do great in your class. You must have the same discipline outside of the class in the real world. And you do that, due diligence, you do your homework, it's going to show up. It really is. Thank you for that question.
I'd like to add to that as well. Due diligence is key. I completely agree with that. But there is a point where we get to something called paralysis analysis, right? And have you guys ever heard of that before? It's like you're just analyzing and analyzing and analyzing, and you're always in like you never do anything. At some point in time, you have to do, well, in our business, we call it a calculated demand leap. You say, okay, I've done enough research. I feel that the market's viable. I think I can execute. I think I can compete in this market here. And then what we usually do in our business, we use a minimum quantity order, and that's a calculated demand leap for us. So we buy small quantities and we test the market on it because that's what we call an affordable loss. And so that's just an interesting way of saying, okay, all right, do you due diligence? But at some point, you got to be like, okay, enough due diligence. I know the market well enough. Now I got to do something. I can't do nothing. And that's the difference between an aspiring entrepreneur and an entrepreneur is actually, they're trying to execute, they're trying to contribute to the market all the time. So it is something to think about, but that is a good question. Thank you.
So we have more questions? I know that they passed out some questions across the tables. Diana?
Hello. What steps did you take to get where you are today?
So the question is, what steps did you take to get where you are today? Let's start off.
I'm with Unique Landscaping. I retired from nursing, and my best friend had a heart attack, and she had open heart surgery, and her son owned the company. And I saw where I could help him. And I just started, supposed to work 15 hours a week. I never saw the 15 hours after the second day. And like I say, it's been there 9 years. So that's how I got there. And the landscaping that's outside the college here, our company did that. So.
What was the total question again?
What steps did you take to get where you are today?
So in that, I had you go ahead and reiterate what you really wanted the question. Okay, so every step you take, asking a question, getting a question posed to you is a step in your direction. Like Paul Anthony Courtney said, you have to do something in what you think is in the right direction. The other gentleman back here, he said, you have to commit. And that's a synopsis of what he said. You cannot procrastinate. You have to keep on keeping on. A phrase earlier I used was do or do not. You know, if you do a test market and you say, you know, this doesn't have the feel, let's move on to something else. in that you're directing yourself as to what you're gonna do, and that's a step in the right direction. My other half, so what steps did we take? We took giant leaps. Our giant leap was we had a nonprofit and we decided to help the small businesses that were helping our nonprofit. And as we saw our leap, what in the right direction would be to actually help those small businesses, we created a business that would help them. And because it was a business to help them, we had to gain capital to keep it going. So it couldn't be part of the nonprofit. And because we did that, we were able to help thousands and thousands of small businesses in the process.
So what does a typical day look like for you guys? What does a typical day look like for you guys?
Okay,
Okay. I'm over here.
I'll answer both the questions. Well, the first question was, what made or what steps you took to start the business? Bottom line, I went away from conversations, great conversations, talking about someday or maybe, and just decided today. And you have to decide when you want to do it. And you commit to that. You tie it into a timeline. On the typical day, and I'll speak about my typical day, I'm blessed to I have 6 aides that support me with what I gotta do. So I have 6 individuals who actually aid me in my process. And then we have all the general staff. So that's allowed me to have a work week, which is Monday through Thursday, basically, and Friday the catch-up day. My day starts every day about 5:20 in the morning. This is natural normal about 5:20. And I have a whole lot of things I do before I really leave out of the house. I usually leave out the house about 7:05 to get my daughter to school. And then my day starts. The day ends every single day about 6 o'clock, 5:40 to 6. And then I get in, I rest, and then I start my second day about 11 p.m. at night, and it usually is about 2:30 in the morning. And that's my day.
I'm also going to answer both those questions because I think both are great questions. What do you do to get here? And a lot of it was you just try to figure things out as you're moving along. You got to do what makes the most sense to you. And in my experience, I've started some businesses with small success. Stuff that was like selling stuff out of my garage on Craigslist that had good profit margins, but really wasn't, the business started dwindling, so I sold all the inventory. That was moderate success, and then it was other businesses that I started that were total failures. That was the interesting thing about it, is about, being an entrepreneur, you're looking for the opportunity, a true opportunity, not just like a quick, get rich quick scheme type thing. So and you're okay about failing. It doesn't feel good, but you dust yourself off and you learn from that kind of stuff. And so what we're trying to do is each success is built on a previous success. So you learn that lesson, and of course you don't do that again. And then you build on your previous success, and then business gets better, and you find your little niche of whatever it is you're going to do. That's one thing that I've noticed about entrepreneurs is entrepreneurs become the opportunity. Whatever the opportunity is in front of them, they become it. I have a good friend of mine who's a really successful entrepreneur. We went to school together. What did he say? He studied like finance or something like that. And then he became a salon owner. But it wasn't like a typical salon owner. He would buy like 30 or lease out like 30 to 50,000 square foot buildings and build individual salons in there. And he didn't know anything about hairstyling, like nothing. But he became it. Like it almost seemed like overnight because he saw the opportunity there. And that's what's interesting about entrepreneurs is they become the opportunity, and they can be passionate about what they do in that regard. To the second question, what does my day look like? I think that is, every day is totally different. Someday my day looks like whatever I prioritize that day. And as an entrepreneur, life is going to hit you from every single direction. It really does. From family obligations to your own personal life, to work obligations, to, home, cutting the grass and doing the dishes and making the bed, that kind of stuff. And sometimes that stuff just has to take a back seat because you have to, prioritize what's important for you that day, or make sure that whatever it is you're doing that day is aligning to what your goals are for that month or that week or that year. So that's kind of a convoluted answer to that question. Each day is different.
Quite honestly, I guess I'm here out of necessity. I enjoyed making money in high school. I enjoyed making money in college. I was fortunate enough to have an internship with IBM way back in the day. It's 1988, 1989, but they would not increase my hours beyond 20. So I'm like, well, I'm going to make some more money. So I came up with this idea. I'm like, oh, I'll go detail cars. So I called myself the car doctor, operating on sick bumpers, tires, and dashes. Had one too many broken antenna, tired of waiting in line at the car wash, etc. So I passed out flyers around the exclusive neighborhood in Los Angeles called Hancock Park. All of a sudden, and this was hard work. I had my nephew with me, didn't want to pay him anything, so I'm trying to keep as much money as possible in my pocket. Passing out flyers, next thing you know, I get what becomes an account. You may have heard of a group called Commodores from back in the day. William King, the bass player, was an account. I was there every Saturday washing a van, Mercedes-Benz, and I think a Toyota Corolla. And then other references just started to come in. Again, I needed the money, and the internship was not going to go beyond that. Another thing I learned too, and I tell this to my students, is you need to have more than one of everything in terms of cash flow. We talked about, or at least Paul alluded to, the F word. The F word is failure, and entrepreneurs will fail from time to time. I'm raising my hand. Indeed. So one of my endeavors, I was selling mortgage loans out of college, and I realized I wasn't making a lot of money. And then when I talked to some of my other mortgage brokers in the office, well, they weren't just selling loans, but they were selling insurance, or they were washing cars, or they had other sources of cash. Oh, so that's how you're driving the Mercedes-Benz Turbo 1990 style and not driving Datsun 200 SX with the windows broken. So more than one of everything, cash flow. Now, primarily my business today, as you know, most of you, is education. But in selling insurance and engaged in insurance planning, my weekends primarily are visiting open houses. I visit open houses, I talk to real estate agents, I bring them a bottle of wine with Ramon's name affixed to it. Now, what I'm looking for is that you remember me whenever you have a sale, because one of your sales might result in someone needing insurance. So here's a cheap bottle of wine. Of course, I don't say it's cheap. Thank you very much. Contact me and there's something in it for you. So I spend a lot of my time marketing on the weekends when I'm not at Barstow. So I have more than one of everything. What you got to do? Helps out.
So I'm trying to keep us on track with time, so we're just gonna have one more question, and then we'll have Relicio. I believe,
Any suggestions on how to help deal with the stress that comes along with it?
Take a bath.
Well, I'm usually not the one that stresses, so I would have to say, I tell my wife, take a bath, relax, and you have to take that recreation time. Because if you don't, you will fail and fail big because you will deplete yourself. You have to have that time with family, like the gentleman said in the back. You have to get a schedule, okay? And I tell my wife this all the time, put it on the calendar. I don't care what it is. If it's walking the dog, put it on the calendar. And then you go to a meeting or you go to a sale situation. Whatever it is, put it on the calendar and then, like I said before, prioritize. And the number one thing that I do to relieve stress is make a sale.
My key opinion is this: empower people, be powerful to make decisions and how to make decisions. Because by being in business for yourself, you know, if it's just a 1 or 2 person team, the span of control is quite slim. But if you really want to expand, it's a process of duplication. You gotta, always say, you must learn to let go to grow. And you learn to trust other individuals to do their best. Because you're gonna find through the journey, no one will ever do it exactly like you. So once you have humbled yourself to understand that, you empower people to do their absolute best, and you'll be amazed what happens. I mean, you're amazed what happens. I personally employed over 3,000 people since I've been in business. We currently have a few dozen who actually service right now. And I spoke, you know, I have aides that support me through my journey. And it's all about empowerment and taking advantage of the resources that are available.
You okay?
You okay there? Okay, all right.
Hey, she got knocked out, she's back
Got
up.
that, yeah. Yes, so, okay. But just empower people to do their absolute best and believe in them. Just actually believe in them, and you'll be surprised.
For me, as an entrepreneur, the interesting thing about that is you never shut off. Your mind just goes all the time. You wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes you can't get back to sleep, and you're waking up early in the morning like he's doing, and then you're working late at night. It's like you never get that shut off time. For me, you have to be able to find time to shut off, like no business, turn it off completely, because otherwise you will burn out. I have a slightly different philosophy than what he does. Is I identify my main core business practices. So in my business, my main things that I have to do myself is research. So I'm always researching markets for new products and making sure that I can compete in those products. Everything else I do, I outsource. So things like writing listings, photographs, you know, I never even touch my product except when I see a sample. So the products don't come to my house, they go to a warehouse, and from there they go somewhere else, and they go, and that helps me. That helps me stay on top of my business, 1, right? But 2, also helps me keep my sanity. So I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I always know what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, wait a minute, I'm responding to email and doing this or that. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not my core business. My core business is research. So I always get back to that. And then, you know, everything else is sort of secondary. And it kind of makes it a little bit easier for me.
I think the question was around the lines of how do we deal with failure or stress. I like to read a lot, and one of my lives I teach history. So I'm constantly going back and I'm reading business history about entrepreneurs who, when they were down and out and very stressed out, didn't know if they were going to be able to make the next Model T or the next, you know, Coca-Cola type beverage or what have you. Just getting inspiration from them. Constantly reading, I call it going back to the well for inspiration, for source, for innovation, and so forth. And that keeps me motivated. And yeah, I know we're in a secular institution, but I also believe in a higher power too. But that's going to keep me going. And that's coming from a cynic, okay? But I also believe that there's something higher than me and more powerful. So, and stay focused and just keep going.
The way I deal with it is I pray. I pray a lot. It doesn't matter what it is. I've gotten down on my knees in the office when we really needed it. And God's always shown me the way. May not be the way I think it should go, but I follow his way. And communication is a stress reliever. That is the most important, is to communicate. Thank you.
I I actually thought of something, speaking about higher powers and stuff, I actually thought about something that I've just been doing that's really been chilling me out, been cool, is every day I write a note to myself from my future self, right? So my future self, as if I've achieved all my goals and dreams. And my future self is writing to my present self, and so literally, what do you say? And it's interesting, the conversation is different every day. It chills me out immediately, because you're stressed about different things a day. Some days it's money, some days it's time, some days it's usually just money and time, but you know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? You kind of calm yourself down in some ways, and it's interesting too because my belief is we start to put postulates there. You're starting to act as if you are successful and you're moving in those directions as opposed to moving in a direction of fear. And you're making actions based on fear because there's not enough money, there's not enough time. You're doing successful actions, which is going to lead to successful consequences. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and we're all very willing to help you, and that's why we want to actually say these things, and we're running out of time. But the number one thing that I believe will absolutely give you stress-free life is live in the present. Don't live or attempt to live in the future or the past. Live in the present and see what's in front of you, and you will be successful.
And I will conclude with the and then some. Each and every one of you have change in front of you, right? You have some change. Accept change and do the necessary things that's necessary to change. Necessary to change. And you'll see, it will happen. That's an actual and factual, not a hopeful and emotional. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank again the panel for coming. Next week's panel will be about nonprofit organizations, and then the following week is going to talk about child development. I know we ran out of time for ask questions, but you may have the opportunity to ask questions to these entrepreneurs outside here, where we're going to have lunch. And again, thank you everybody for coming.
It's a symbol for you for change. Change. So it's a joke. So here's some change and change your life. Clever. Okay.
Yeah. And not today.
Moving to
Thank you. That's your.
Thank you.